Hey up everyone, it's now 2025. I hope you've all had a good Christmas and a new year, but now we're back to business. We're back to the UFC, and I'm going to be discussing who is the dark horse in every single weight division in the UFC. And just to clarify my own definition of a dark horse, I mean someone who is maybe hasn't got much of a spotlight on their name, of who they are, whatever it may be, and by the end of 2025, I'm expecting that spotlight to grow bigger and a lot more people to have a lot more eyes on that specific fighter because they're having a good year and, they're putting in good performances and getting the results they're, meant to be getting, W's. To start things off, we have the flyweight division, and the dark horse for that division, in my opinion, is Joshua Van. Now, I do feel like he has got a few eyes on him. I was going to go with, I can't pronounce his name properly. Is it Lonnie Kavanagh? But I feel like he needs to, grow a bit more, marinate a bit more of the UFC audience. I feel like he's just an undefeated prospect, so there's always kind of a spotlight on them. And there is still a spotlight on Joshua Van, given that he's only 23 years old, only recently turned 23 as well. So he's still very young, still very talented. But I feel like when he got that knockout loss against Charles Johnson, a lot of the hype train jumped off. He lost a lot of steam on that hype train after getting knocked out by Charles Johnson. And since then, he's picked up 2 wins to end 2024. He pulled it back quite nicely against Edgar Chairez and Cody Durden on the last pay-per-view or fight night card. I can't remember if it was a pay-per-view or not. Regardless, anyways, he did quite well. As people predicting him to lose to both of those fighters, and he didn't. And I think in 2025, he's going to follow up and have another good year. I can see him in the top end of the flyweight division. Maybe not like a championship opportunity, and maybe he doesn't even win against a top high-ranked fighter. But I still think he is the dark horse of that division, and he's still so young and super talented. And I just think he's a dangerous fight for any fighter in that flyweight division. Next up, we have my favourite division in the UFC. That's the bantamweight division. That is my favourite division. And I've got two, I'm kind of cheating, I've got 2 dark horses. We're going to go with the main one, the one I really think is the dark horse, and then we're going to go on to the next one. My main one is Vinicius Oliveira. I think he is the dark horse. There's too many people talking about him, but he has a big win over Ricky Simone. That's a very solid win, and his next fight is against Said Nurmagomedov, which should be fireworks in my opinion. That's a really, really, really good fight. I cannot wait for that scrap. But I think Vinicius Oliveira is the dark horse of the bantamweight division. Very exciting. Great name, by the way. Great Brazilian name. Only 29 years old. Got a lot of knockouts. One of the best knockouts of the year 2024, in my opinion, with that brutal flying knee. I think he is a serious dark horse of the bantamweight division, especially if he can get past Said Nurmagomedov. He's going to be fighting a lot more people in the rankings and in the bantamweight division, which is really stacked. And then my second dark horse, who's a bit more up there right now, who I just think a lot of people are sleeping on, is Mario Batista. I can't stand him. He's a dark horse that needs to be ran over. I really don't like Mario Batista for what he did against Jose Aldo. But he is a dark horse, to be honest with you. But I think Vinicius Oliveira is that, for me, he is that dark horse, because there's not much of a spotlight on him. Mario Batista is somewhat of a name, wins over Jonathan Martinez, Ricky Simone, now Jose Aldo. So I think he's, and maybe he'll get a rematch against Corey Sandhagen. I think that makes a lot of sense for him next. And again, I think he's a dark horse because I think he could beat Corey Sandhagen, although I don't want to believe it. But I think Mario Batista is definitely a dark horse, but Vinicius Oliveira is my number 1 dark horse in the bantamweight division. After this, we have the featherweight division. I'm kind of going with 2 again. Right, I don't know who my number 1 is here. I'm probably going to go with Gene Silva. There is a bit of a spotlight on him because of the fighting nerds and how fun he was last year, but I feel like he's got quite a ladder to climb. I feel like the UFC might take the time with Gene Silva, and that's why he might be my dark horse. Not only that, I just believe his skill set is really good, and because we've seen him do it at 155 as well, just adds to it a lot more in my opinion. So Gene Silva is my dark horse, but the other one for me is Lerone Murphy. I just see him as like a mini Leon Edwards in the fact that he's very well-rounded, and not only that, it feels like all of his strikes that he throws have to almost be perfect, similar to Leon Edwards. I feel like there's a bit more of a dog inside Lerone Murphy because we saw him get dropped against Dan Ige and then win the rest of the fight because of those last 2 rounds. I think Lerone Murphy is a dark horse of that featherweight division. You don't see many people talking about him. I think he's a dark horse, but for me it is Gene Silver overall. After this, we have the lightweight division, and we have my favourite dark horse out of everyone on this list, Joel Alvarez. I love this man so much. First time I really watched him and really caught my eye was against Thiago Moises, how many? I think 5 years ago now, which is crazy. But this guy's only 29, so well-rounded. All of his wins coming by finish, whether it's a submission, whether it's a knockout. Got that knockout win over Drakkar Klose, but he was going to go for it was a weird one. It was like a flying knee into a guillotine. It was a weird one, man, but very solid. Also has a great win over Alves Brenner. Should have fought Rebecca as well. He was meant to fight Rebecca at the start of the year, but that fell through, unfortunately. But yeah, Joel Alvarez now entered the top 15 rankings of the lightweight division. I think he's a threat to everyone in that lightweight division. I know he got absolutely dominated and massacred by Arman Sarukian, but I don't think that's held against him, because Arman Sarukian is the real deal. But Joel Alvarez now, give him a rematch. I still think Arman would win, but Joel Alvarez is definitely up there. And again, I think he poses a threat to everyone. He's well-rounded, super well-rounded. Low-key reminds me of Charles Oliveira. Low-key. Might get slated for that, but you know what I mean? Very tall. He can knock your lights out, but he can also submit you. That's what I mean by that. He'll put you on the back foot as well. I like him a lot. He's moving up to welterweight as well. I think Joel Alvarez is going to have a great 2025. He had a great end to 2024, and I think he's going to have a great 2025. And I cannot wait to see more of him, because I absolutely adore him. And hopefully he gets the bigger names now, like maybe Jalen Turner, which will be a banger. Maybe Benoit Saint Denis. Someone along those lines I think will be perfect for him. Maybe even Gamrot, someone like that I think will be perfect for Joel Alvarez. Next up, we have the welterweight division, and I feel like this is a bit of a boring one, but my pick for the dark horse of the welterweight division is Sean Brady. Now, I feel like everyone wrote off Sean Brady because of his loss against Bilal Muhammad, where he got TKO'd. And yeah, you should get wrote off for that, but I feel like people were maybe a bit too critical, including myself, to be fair. And you also have that close fight against Michael Chiesa, which is a bit... You know what I mean? Michael Chiesa, come on, buddy. But you know what I mean? Sean Brady, I think he is a dark horse. I think he is a threat in that welterweight division. Do I think he beats Bilal in a rematch? No. Would I favour him against a load of people? I'm not sure, and that's why I'm calling him a dark horse. His grappling is legit. He had a great fight against Gilbert Burns, was able to beat Gilbert Burns over 5 rounds, showed how good his cardio was, some decent striking. I think his striking still needs a lot of work, in my opinion. I think if he had great striking, he would be a serious problem for that welterweight division. I still think he's a serious problem, because his grappling is really good. He has got great cardio as well. We saw how great his grappling was against Calvin Gastelum, finished him with Kimura, I think it was, earlier in 2024. But yeah, I think he's quite a hard threat. Someone like Leon, who he could be fighting next, you never know. Maybe an Ian Gary, I think it would be hard for him. Even Buckley, I think it could be hard for him as well. So I'm very interested to see how Sean Brady gets on in 2025. He might not be the most fun to watch, even though his fight against Gilbert Burns was very fun, given all the scrambles and whatnot, and how fast-paced it was. But yeah, bit of a boring one. But yeah, I'm going with Sean Brady as the dark horse of the welterweight division. We move on up to 185. Where we've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He is the dark horse of that middleweight division. I feel like everyone's saying that, but it's fact, really. That guy's came on leaps and bounds. Absolutely brutalised Michel Pereira. Everyone's like, if Michel Pereira's going to win, it'll be in the first round. And, well... Pereira just got nothing off. He just got absolutely battered. And then he, in the last minute or 30 seconds, got his eyebrow slit. I was like, I feel sorry for him. It was a really bad cut as well. I felt dead bad for him, because he's gone all that way just for the very end, just to get cut open. But yeah, Anthony Hernandez, against anyone in that middleweight division, he is a problem, because he doesn't stop, he doesn't back down. I feel like he is weak to the body, but regardless, decent cardio, very good grappling, just a grinder. I don't know if he likes the app grinder, but regardless, that's irrelevant. But yeah, he will grind you out, and you don't have to worry. Well, you have to, if you're fighting him, you have to worry about his cardio. What I mean is, you don't have to worry about Anthony Hernandez gassing out. His striking's okay as well, but it more just comes about his durability is a bit more questionable. But regardless of that, he's still tough as fuck. He'll come at you all day. He doesn't stop coming. Sounds weird. But yeah, he doesn't stop coming towards you all fight long. He is the dark horse of that middleweight division, in my opinion. After this, we have the light heavyweight division. Very stinky division, I'm not going to lie to you. But for my dark horse, so I feel like everyone keeps forgetting about Jan Blachowicz. I really wouldn't. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying this. Don't start going to come, oh my God, he thinks Jan Blachowicz is... I think Jan Blachowicz could possibly envy you with a championship wrapped around his waist. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen. He's fighting Carlos Ulberg, which... ballsy matchmaking for the UFC. Because if you want to grow Carlos Ulberg, well, I don't know if that's the fight to do. But regardless, I think Jan Blachowicz wins that one. And then maybe he fights the winner of Yuri and Jamal Hill. And then maybe end of the year, he goes on to fight the champion. I could see that happening. I think that makes the most sense. I think Jan Blachowicz is the dark horse of that light heavyweight division. And then the heavyweight division, the last division we got to talk about. Another one stinky one talent-wise. I was tempted to go with Mick Parkin, undefeated fighter in the UK, but I don't know, I'm not completely sold on Mick Parkin yet. I want him to be really good old Geordie lad, but from what I've seen, I'm not super convinced. Who I think is the dark horse of that heavyweight division is Jailton Almeida. I might get slated for this. I'm still on the maybe not a hype train because there's not much hype left, but I'm still on the train and belief that Jailton Almeida is a serious threat for that championship in the heavyweight division. I know he lost to Curtis Blades, but he won that first round. He was doing well against Curtis Blades, and then he just simply got finished due to like hammer fists whilst he was shooting in. Oh, and I think he got tagged as he was shooting as well. I can't really remember the finish clearly. But yeah, I still think that Jailton Almeida is a problem at the heavyweight division. And I think he is a serious dark horse in that heavyweight division. Okay striking, very big guy, very legit grappling as well. And I think people forget that. So I'm going to go with Jailton Almeida is the dark horse of the heavyweight division. But how do you guys think I got on with these? Who do you think is a dark horse in every single division? Do you agree with some of my picks? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.